From dating to relationships, from sex to love, from Christianity to politics, from darkness to light, you have now entered into the real zone. Welcome to Conversations with Trent, where no topic of conversation is safe from discussion. Now, here he is, Mr. Epic himself, Trent Williams.
What's going on? What's going on, beautiful people? Welcome to another podcast edition of Conversation with Trent and Company with the lovely Shan and my brother Nick out of Memphis. Well, actually, let's waste some time on this topic. Let's just go straight in. 1 second. What's going on, Shan?
Good evening. Happy Sunday. Happy, I guess, almost beginning of a new week.
There it is. What up, Nick?
What's going on, y'all? What up?
Nick? Good to see you. You get some running in today?
Huh?
You get some running in today?
Every day.
All right.
Good stuff. Good
It's
stuff.
a marathon, not a sprint, Shan. I always remember that.
Gotcha. How are you doing, Mr. Williams?
Doing grand, real grand.
Like you got a fresh cut going on there.
I'm feeling like a snack tonight.
Feeling like a snack. Okay.
Feeling like a snack. Feeling like a bad boy and a gentleman tonight.
Ooh,
I knew that was gonna come.
Gangster and a gentleman.
Feel like a bad boy and a gentleman. Actually, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were talking about bad boys opposed to gentlemen, and I wanted to know
Bad boys, what you gonna do?
why women are so attracted to a bad boy. So I recalled a blog that I had written about 2012, something like that. I had a conversation with one of my brothers about women indulging in bad boys. So that conversation came back up. Why do women love bad boys? Why are they so into bad boys?
For the same reason that men love ratchet women.
And there it is. Well, let's define what is what's a bad boy. Let's make sure we have the definitions right.
What's a bad boy? A bad boy who actually tests all the waters, running right up to the line.
Okay. That's it.
I think he may be frozen. Bad boys. How, Shan, from a woman's perspective, how do you define what a bad boy is? Bad boy.
I'm sorry.
Hold on, he's back.
Oh, there you are. Okay. So I think yes. You froze there for a second, so I'm not sure if you had anything else you were going to add to your definition. But
what did you guys hear?
We just heard that you said that they stepped to the line or something.
push it to the line or something.
Yeah, they pushed it to the limit and what have you and all that stuff.
To the limit
of whatever it is that's not acceptable to society. They go all the way out. And most women, I have a thing of most women actually enjoy that because they can't be that bad girl in society, so they latch on to that bad boy because of what society says. So a bad boy forced her to live on the wild side, be a little bit rebellious, where society would frown down on her if she did, X, Y, and Z.
I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I think, and I can speak for myself, and I think there are some women that would probably agree, is that we don't necessarily go and seek out, who's a bad boy. And when I think of bad boy, it's not about pushing the limits. It's about the guy who, I guess maybe there are some limits to be pushed, but it's maybe the guy who's not necessarily the best fit for a committed relationship or the relationship that you're defining for the two of you.
Let's be honest. Most women love seductive swagger.
Yes, of course. Swag. I mean, but it's no different than men like women who are confident, right? Confidence. I've heard many men say that confidence is very sexy to them above a lot of other physical features that a woman may have, right? It's the confidence. It's no different with women. Bad boys, so to speak, have a certain confidence level and a certain swag that's very appealing and very attractive. It's like you want that confidence and you want that swag, but you also want them to you want them to be able to have the gentleman features of being respectful, and respect can be in different forms, whether it's verbally, whether it's how they talk to you, how they treat you, whether they're faithful to you throughout the relationship, those type of things. But it's not necessarily that you go out and you look for somebody who you're like, oh yeah, nah, he does this, I want him. No, it didn't start out that way. There is a lot of swaying, seduction. You guys, bad boys tend to make things look a certain way that maybe it's
Do
not.
tell.
Until they get the things that they want, or whatever, or they condition you to accept those things about them, I'll say. But yeah, there is definitely a certain confidence level and a certain swag. Now, I'll say that for me, I have more of a corporate background. I'll be honest, I'm kind of straight and narrow. I came up in Catholic school girl and all that. It wasn't bad. And all,
I got a story about Catholic girls later on.
Yeah, whatever. That wasn't me. I was a good girl. But hey, Mark, welcome to the show tonight. But I still I like somebody who has a little edge. It's kind of like when men say they want a freak a woman in the streets and a freak in the bed. Sometimes we want a little thug in the streets, and we want a gentleman that I can take you to my corporate events and all of that, that kind of stuff. What you timing out for?
What is that for you? Because this is one of the problems that I see a lot with women, and I'm going here because this is one reason how some women emasculate men, because they see men and say they will see a good guy and will come across and say, well, he may not be able to protect me, or he may not be able to. He has to have like this kind of edge, but like we see that on appearance, right? And you're speaking on first initial appearance, right?
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily just first appearance. No.
Before you dig all the way in with your shovel, Nick. Actually, I knew you guys. I've been studying you guys ever since you guys been on the platform to see your thought process, and as well as Shannon. I knew she was going to say the thing that she said. I knew you were going to actually say some of the things that you were saying.
So
obviously what he needed to say wasn't going to be important since he keeps freezing up.
So till he gets back.
Yeah.
I spoke to 7 different women. 7 different women think just like Shannon.
Yep.
Every last one of those women said the same thing she is saying. Almost word for word.
So y'all want that Destiny's Child soldier type shit? Is that what y'all want? So, and I'm not saying, look, I want to be clear. Whatever that you want in someone, and this is my opinion. And yes, I've talked to a number of women who say the same thing. What I think is that some women, and this I could be far-fetched from this, but some women just really like the thrill. Let's call it what it is.
That's pretty much what it is. That's all.
The thrill of being with a bad boy because of a certain rebellious spirit that Brother Trent talked about and things like that. See, when you're a really good guy, and this is what I've noticed that a lot of men and women struggle with. The guy who is a lot of times quote unquote boring, that guy usually probably the most stable guy. And a lot of times, and there's no disrespect against the bad boys, because again, it's really the same conversation of, well, why do men love ratchet women? You know what I'm saying? And so it's kind of the same thing there. But what I will say though is that it's interesting when I hear some women talk about good guys as if good guys don't know how to protect. As some guys don't know how to do those things. Now, if you say edge, I'm with you there. And confidence, but confidence, do you not know of any good guys who have confidence?
But this is what a balance comes at, and this is where the men should take responsibility for this. You have to create balance. Like a man has to create balance. That goes back to studying that woman, knowing that woman, communicating with that woman. A good guy, a gentleman can become a bad boy in certain places. Just mix it up a little bit.
Yeah. So Mark said, I wonder if Miss Charlie was taking them ballers to the corporate events. Yes. That's the whole thing. You got to be able to dress them up and they got to be able to maneuver.
Whoa. You got to be able to dress him up when he dressed himself up.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying he's got to be able to handle himself in both worlds.
Okay, but are you doing it or is this by his choice?
No, that's him.
Okay.
It's about having balance. It's
clear.
about having balance. It's not like for me, I'm going out looking for the guy running the trap house. I'll get out. No.
I'm advocating for the bad boy because I'm actually a rehabilitated bad boy. So, I've had the best of both worlds. I was a bad boy and a gentleman. You put them two together, you got a nice package.
So what made you a bad boy?
I just didn't care. I didn't care if I was Mr. Right.
Just Mr. Right now.
Exactly. There it is. Mm-hmm. I didn't care. And women, you can say what you want. Women love the thrill of a man that don't give a fuck.
But you can find that. I hear you. But why do we have to then? You can find that in multitude of guys. Because there's a lot of things that I don't give a fuck about, and I will be.
Yeah, but it's the way you hold
give a fuck about. So
you have to hold your swagger bag a little different. It has to be held a little different. You cannot give a fuck every whole day.
So
if you're holding that bag the wrong way,
let me give you guys some jewels here.
Nick, you read that book again?
Class will take swag over all day long. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, Nick.
All day long.
Get your notepad. Listen.
Because the sisters that I talk to, who I'm in connection with, class over swag any day. Any day that I'm in connection with, class any day.
But who's to say that they don't have some class? That even
class
the bad boys have some class or swag.
I'm telling you, class any day. If I called them class any day, and there's nothing wrong with a woman wanting both, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm saying that I would say a lot of mature women who I'm most of the part in connection with, they don't really, class is where it's at with them. So you may have some people who may be, in that. Now, I will say for me personally speaking, being a bad boy was not my thing, right? I grew up in respecting women. Now, that does not say that I will put my foot down. That does not say that I will be a doormat. That doesn't mean that I won't stand up for myself. But what I am saying though is a complete gentleman. That's how I was raised. And that's just, and what I've learned is that when some women who have that kind of, mindset, and nothing we can do.
So, good evening and welcome, Kelvin. And so Mark said, so you couldn't dress up someone bro Nick's height to a corporate event. Was there a height requirement at the event?
What did I miss? What did I miss?
Was it just for the company pictures that would be taken? So, Mark, I see you're starting early tonight with your level of pettiness. The height requirement, and I don't know why it always keeps going back to this. Like, come on, am I not allowed to say that somebody has to be taller than me if I wear heels? Like, come on. So there wasn't necessarily a height requirement, but I needed to be able to wear heels.
All right, tell me, what did I miss? What did I miss?
No, I was going on saying that long story short, that I said I didn't grow up a bad boy. I grew up around people who were like that. I grew up a gentleman. And most of the women who I'm in connection with, who are in the age range between 30 and 45, most of them, I would say, are more so class, more than anything.
Gotcha. Do you feel that I have class?
I don't know you well enough to say that, Shan, to make that assessment. I can't.
What about you, Brother Williams?
Don't call me brother, by the way. Call me Mr. Williams.
Oh, excuse me, Mr. Williams. Oh, okay. Your time is coming, boo.
Thank you. Absolutely. Yeah, actually, you do. You have exquisite taste.
Inquiring minds want to know. Stripper heels. Yes, I do own several pair of those, Mark, but I don't wear those with everybody because everybody can handle those. Thank you very much.
Did that answer your question? Yes, you have exquisite taste. Yes.
Okay, so that does not mean that, like, I don't necessarily think that there are men that have that edge that don't have class. I do have to agree to a certain point that I think it is a little bit more exciting to have somebody that wants to do some things that are that may be out of the norm, so to speak. But it's not that for me that I didn't do things. I wasn't rebellious in my own way. I know me and I know my personality, and I know that I need somebody who can complement that and who can handle that, because I have a very strong and dominant type of personality. And someone who's just soft or soft spoken, or like, I don't want to feel like I got to be the one to beat folks up to protect us.
Exactly.
So let me ask you this. So do you agree that there are different ways that you can communicate a message? Because you can communicate something in a soft spoken way that's not completely domineering and still get your point across, right?
For me or for the guy?
No. I'm asking you.
For me, that I can communicate? Yeah, absolutely.
No. Right. So whether that person is soft spoken or not, like if the person can communicate at a level that is very stable, to say the least, what's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that, and there's nothing that says that men with edge or bad boys don't have that ability too. It's not about being the person that's out there yelling and boasting. It's an underlying type of and please don't think that it's that the gentlemen, or so to speak, don't have the ability to have some type of authority. So in a sense,
actually, to jump in on his comment, Calvin Cootie says the gentleman. What did he say? The gentleman is a bad boy, and he actually that's a good friend of mine from years past. He's absolutely right. You don't have to. I think we stuck in this whole part of what a gentleman's supposed to look like.
Mm-hmm.
The most soft-spoken man walk in the room and move every piece of furniture in there.
Thank you.
If there's a problem.
Exactly. And not meaning to, I know this is in a TV world and things like that, but I look at somebody like a character like Uncle Phil, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uncle Phil from the Fresh Prince. Uncle Phil wasn't a quote unquote bad boy, and he was a gentleman, but he laid that law down.
Right.
And to your point that Kelvin said, the gentleman is the bad boy. And Brother Trent, to your point, a gentleman can walk into a room and the presence alone,
right,
demands, in that there's a certain confidence, there's a certain confidence, there's a certain way and aura that a gentleman has, that he can walk into a room and get that respect. Doesn't have to be boastful, doesn't have to be loud.
Totally agree.
Right.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna welcome the audience, man, for tuning in, and I see you guys over here on the YouTube side, and I actually really appreciate those numbers are actually going up every week and getting calls on compliments from the show. They're talking about the lovely Shan, they're talking about Nick. Hey, I'm just mopping the floors over here, so. But it's appreciated. It's really appreciated. Those numbers are moving. I really appreciate it. We'll get back. Actually, we'd love to have you guys interact and everything. So the numbers show that there's thousands of folks there. So you guys are watching and looking, but no interaction. Really would love to see you guys interacting with us.
Say hello. Just let us know you're there. Even if you don't have something to comment, just let us know you're there.
Exactly. Well, good stuff.
I really need some help here. But so if I know I have some other folks out there, I probably feel a little bit better. Just saying.
You good. All right, we're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back, folks.
Thanks for tuning into Conversations with Trent. We will be right back with more conversation after these commercial breaks.
Check out the creative work of the author Trent Williams of www.taylorkennedymedia.com. Chapter of the Delta gives us a peek at his life-changing events. And if that's not enough, Trent tells you more about his brothers and his life through memoirs in his book, The Four Horsemen. His blogs and daily stimulating quotes are published in his book, Life's Little Addiction. And when you have a need of some human coaching of life and relationships, take a look at Conversations with Trent, Volume 1 and 2, and Conversations with Trent, Limited Edition. You will find his works available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all online book retailers.
Welcome back to Conversations with Trent. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're online and want to be a part of tonight's topic, you can do that by dialing 347-324-5327. Press the number 1 to get into the queue so that your voice can be added to tonight's conversation. Now, let's get back to the show.
All right, we're back.
Ooh. So Brother Mark had a comment. In the 90s, brothers were referred to as gangsters, the roughneck or roughnecks. So were women choosing bad boys over gentlemen, looking for security and protection, and ended up like Diary of a Mad Black Woman.
Ooh.
Well, damn.
Right.
That's real talk.
But in some
that's real talk right there.
That is real talk, because I'm going to use this example, and this is I really hate using celebrities as a Sierra in Future, and now with Russell Wilson, right? Mm-hmm. Going back to listening to Sierra, especially her first album, and she kind of grew up in like 2-parent household and things like that, right? So when her first album came out, she had songs like Thug Style. She was really attracted to those like 50 Cent types, and that's what she was attracted to until she got with one, and that one already had different baby mamas and stuff like that. But I don't remember the ins and outs of their relationship, but it was basically something that she was getting that she wasn't getting from something that she quote unquote liked, which gets me to my point here, that a lot of times that men and women will, when it comes to their partners and their likes and stuff like that, the same damn thing that you like can be the same damn thing that's holding you back.
That's true.
Yeah, I totally agree on that.
Not everything, but there comes a point in time when you have to be like, okay, like from what I've heard from women who echo, they say that they want a man to protect them, right? I've heard the edge before, but also a man to protect them. So and which implies that when a man is not that way, that he can protect you. So you look at this man as being soft. This is how some women emasculate men.
And it depends. It depends on the individual. That's on an individual basis. I don't think every woman thinks that way, that wants to feel protected. Every woman wants to feel safe.
Correct.
When they're out, they want to feel protected. So it depends on. That's on an individual basis.
Right, but you don't have to judge. You don't have to prejudge somebody by saying, "I see this bad boy and he's gonna get." Like, you don't have to prejudge anybody by saying he's gonna protect you, because I'm telling you, a quote unquote alpha man, that's in his DNA.
So what do you mean by prejudge?
Who?
What do you mean by prejudge?
You will see a person and some people in prejudge and make prejudice remarks around saying, here's this bad boy that's here. Oh, he knows how to protect and things like that.
See, but I don't think you can make that assumption. It's not just like that, where it's just that you see someone. There's still a whole thing where you talk, you communicate, you get to know somebody. And then you go from there. There may be just different things that attract you about that person,
right,
than somebody that may be opposite from them. Now, the only thing I'll just be honest, that I do prejudge about, and I'm sorry, it is really the height thing. Because that, it just
you don't say.
See, here you go. Here you go. You see how it spins around. It comes back full circle.
It always comes back to that height chart.
I said on previous shows.
But I often hear brothers as well too, and again, in being fair around, and Shane, you brought up a good point about how some men will say they want a lady, was it a freak in the sheets and a lady in the streets, right?
Right.
And so it's let's just be clear. Everybody has some freak in them. Everybody. I want to say most people.
Not everybody.
No, listen to me. Because everybody has a fantasy. Everyone has a fantasy. So if they don't have a fantasy, how can they not be a freak then?
I don't want to talk about folks who are very vanilla, and that's how yours.
But to say that most people don't have freak in them.
I'm not saying most. I'm saying there's some, because you said everybody has, and I'm like,
well, if you have sexual desire, you have some freak in you. If you have sexual listen to me. If you have
what book that came from, Nick?
So let's go there. Let's define what the freak is. What is freak?
What is a freak?
What constitutes somebody?
You have the objections for it. So what's the freak?
Hold on a second.
I don't have any objections for it. I'm just saying there are some people that are very vanilla and aren't explorative and don't want to do.
Hold that thought, because Mark brought up a really good point here. Some women grew up with a single mother, then looked for a father figure in a street smart bad boy. Otherwise, others grow up with a father that believes is happy wife, happy life. You know what? That dynamic of something that's missing in whatever the household is, or the lack of that, or it's not in the household, I can see why some women could make choices off of that. Does that make sense? Like if you don't have that, what a father figure role and what that looks like is, quite naturally, you're going to gravitate to the things that you may think is that role and what fits that role, right? And you choose partners as such. Does that make sense?
So I think the second part of what Mark said was, if happy wife, happy life, then they won't choose a gentleman like their father. That does have, for me, I'll say that has some truth to it, some validity to it, from my own experience.
That's what I'm talking about.
I can be honest and transparent about certain stuff.
Even the high.
I may not talk about being a 12-year-old hoe, but I'm just saying.
Hey, he's still traumatized from that. Leave him alone.
That's because I.
He done caught something.
That's because I addressed my trauma early.
Wait a minute. Then he said it was feeling like. I'm sorry. No, but anyway,
he had something. I don't know what girl. She was already shaving and keeping it like that, and in the 12 to 14-year range.
I love cougars, even at 12.
I would say this: there is nothing wrong with a man like balancing between a bad boy and a gentleman, right? There's nothing wrong with that at all. Where it becomes problematic, and even for men too, is that is the notion of when there isn't that balance, that if this person isn't this way, then like I don't know, man. Like I will say most, like I said, most my experience with most women who I know, and what they and I go from 30 to 45, most of them don't even think about like the bad boys or anything like that. That's not to say that in their younger years that they've experimented with that, but I'm
gonna speak on the because I want to speak on the piece when I wrote it years ago. I'm gonna speak on that for a second, but Mark has questions for you, Shan.
How tall was my father? So my sperm donor is a little over 6 feet. My dad is, I think, 5'10", between 5'10" and 5'11".
Okay.
So I got a chance.
So yeah.
So I got a chance, Shan. I meet the height requirement.
Yeah, hold on a second, though. But Nick, we're not doing the dating show here, man. We're not doing the dating show here. It's about the topic, brother.
Right.
Come, let's move on.
Okay. All right. Good stuff.
Can I answer your question, Mark?
So when I actually wrote the piece about the bad boy and the gentleman, I was forming a question of why do women always choose the bad boy over the gentleman? Now, I've had the best of both worlds, and when I was running those streets, the LA streets, the New York streets, all those streets, women couldn't get enough of that, and they knew of each other. They knew about each other, and they couldn't get enough of it.
So, were you a gentleman as well as a bad boy at the same time? Like, were you doing?
Absolutely.
So it wasn't that you were a total bad boy; you were just a total bad boy, right? You were demonstrating parts of each, which were attractive.
Exactly.
Which is what a lot of women look for. They want a little bit of each world, right? So exactly. I don't know if you can really say you were just a bad boy because you had both.
Define bad boy. In your opinion?
If you're just a straight man, it's like those street dudes is just out there. They got multiple women. They're not respectful. They can either be verbally or physically abusive. Just those type of dudes that they just don't necessarily care about the women they're dealing with. It's all about them. There is no soft speaking or seduction or let me open the door for you or let me bring you flowers, even though I'm bringing 10 other women flowers too. Sometimes there's an art to being that Rico Suave type of dude. It's like you may have multiple women, but you know how to take care of and manage each one of them and still make each one of them feel special. To me, a complete bad boy is not doing that.
Okay.
So let me ask you that you don't have any you have daughters, right?
I do.
Okay. You have Brother Trent, you don't have any sons, do you?
Nah, daughters.
Because here's the question that I would ask if either of you did have, a child that was a boy. How would you raise that son? Would you raise him to be a bad boy? Would you raise him to be a gentleman, or would you raise him to be?
That's a good question. I think for me, because I see the whole double standard thing where it's like the men high five their sons for going out there and getting girls even in high school. But remember, they sleeping with somebody else's daughter. And if you have a daughter, that's somebody else's son sleeping with your daughter, doing your daughter dirty like that. So for me, had I had a son, it would have definitely been for me the same standards that I would want for my girls, I would still want for my son,
Okay.
regardless of what the world
the same way.
So, but that's just me. But you know, I do have a brother, and I will say my father treated my brother very differently than he treated me and my sister, as far as expectations, even with women. Right.
Yeah. So for me, it would actually be treated like a gentleman.
Yeah.
Got it.
Mark said in a woman's 20s and early 30s, they may be more prone to bad boys. Then around 35, they seek centered, worldly, secure gentlemen. That probably would be true, but I'm going to say, Mark, for me, it was the total opposite.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't really get into really understanding those traits that were attractive to me until I was in my late 30s. You got to realize I married the good guy, right? For all intents and purposes. And he don't have a stitch of ink on him. There's a lot of stuff he's never done. And me, I've got ink. I like dudes that have ink on their arms and all that other kind of I like that.
So if a guy has ink, he's considered a bad guy?
No, I mean, I have ink. I don't consider myself a bad girl or somebody, but I'm just saying those are things that may not at that point in time were not the norm. Now it's kind of the norm. Everybody has some ink somewhere. It's it's really the norm. I'm surprised that men who don't or women who don't have some kind of ink on them. It's somewhere. But for me,
repeat that one more time. I'm sorry. No, repeat what you said one more time, Shannon. I caught it's like
what was the last thing you heard?
That men and women have something in common or something like that you were saying.
Oh, I was saying that it's very common now for men and women to have some type of ink on their body. Like back then it wasn't.
Oh, I got you.
Now I will say my I don't want to say draw or appeal to like having tattoos or ink or whatnot started when I was younger, being in the military. But I did choose when I got married, I chose the safe person because I think that was probably more so what was expected of me, and may not necessarily have been what I may have preferred even at that time. Right. I'll admit I was always the person who wanted to. I lived for my family. I wanted to please my parents, even as a grown woman. I cared, and I still do to a certain extent. Want to make sure that my parents are pleased, with the things that I do in my life, but not to the extent that I was before.
Right. And I think a couple things I think that was interesting is like much how, Shan, much how I know some women who pretty much grew up like you grew up, right? Mm-hmm. And then they chose a different path from what they know, because there's something rebellious, to Brother Trent's point, something rebellious about that spirit and just rebelling against what you know, right? Experimenting with against what you know. So I do understand that. And then my next point is too that for some women who will continually date these bad boys and things like that and turn around and then say, where all the good men at, or good guys finish last. No, good guys finish exactly where they're supposed to be at. They're just too busy avoiding you. That's what it is. Just saying, the gentlemen I know, like maybe it's me and the guys who I'm around, we don't sit around and we don't talk about like the stuff like ain't no good girls around or the bad ones. Like we don't talk about stuff like that. We just talk about really down to earth, feminine women. And I think that's what we talk about, and that's the stuff that's so attractive to men.
So Mark said that to add perspective, are men attracted to the bad bees or the wife type of woman?
I'm gonna say I'm the wife type of woman. That's me.
I'd say wife.
So that's now. So Mr. Williams, since you've lived a little bit more, were you always attracted to the wife type of woman?
Everything I was dealing with was an upgrade. So
that's not the question. Were you always wife type?
The answer is I've never went to the slums.
What? I'm sorry.
You never went to the slums. I got you.
It's not about the slums. We said bad bees, so really? It could be like a making style.
Nick knew exactly what I was saying. What I meant by that.
Yep.
What?
I never went to
Okay,
the
now
Be
it's
a
so now when you,
project chick.
but it's not about where they're from. Are you just attracted to
missing
the
my
It's a
point. What is
mentality, man. It's a
it's not
mentality.
it's a mentality.
It's a
It's a
mentality.
mentality. It's not about I'm not speaking of that there's some wonderful people come out the projects.
Right.
I know a whole bunch of them
Yep.
that don't act like they from the project.
Correct.
right?
That you could actually go to a dinner table and order from the a la carte, you'll know exactly what you're talking about.
Right.
They know how to grammatically correctly write stuff too.
Yes.
Exactly.
Shan, you may not realize it, but I'm from the hood. Like I am from the hood. So, and when I tell people this, when I tell people where I'm from and stuff like that, and they're like, "What? You come from?" I'm like, "Yeah, just because I may carry myself a little bit different than now." Let's not be clear. When I go back, there's a certain dialogue that I have with the folks who I grew up in North Memphis. That's just what it is. But to Brother Trent's point, it is it's a mentality more so than anything else. And I think there are a lot of men who are attracted to the bad bees because I hear this from women too. I hear from women who say, "Well, hey, I'm a great woman."
It's like I give an example. Since you brought up this whole grammatical thing during a text. If a woman's texting with me and she's using your as you are, conversation over for me.
Really?
You as you, conversation completely over for me. Always, chopping the words up because I feel like I'm speaking to my daughter. Like, that's so unattractive to me. You pronounce your words, use your words. That's very unattractive.
Hey, everybody has their thing.
I have to agree to a certain point. Like when you first meet people, especially if you're like doing the online dating thing, and I see how people text me, and I hate that I spell check text. I hate that too. I hate it, but I'm so anal retentive like that. But I do, and if they cannot, text appropriately, like the grammar's correct and all that stuff, I can deal past the you are because it's text, it's short,
I cannot. If you're saying your and you are using YR. Go ahead.
Are you finished?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. If they're like, it's like they're using words not the right way.
Exactly.
Like if it's there, like THEIR or THEY, I'm like, it's like, I don't know. I hate that about me though. But yeah, it is. It's a thing for me too, Nick. I'm sorry.
$40 baddies. You know what? We're gonna have to use that. The $40
baddies. How do you know how much they are?
$40 baddies, man.
That's what I want to know.
But here's the thing though, like, and it goes back to Mark's point though, because I hate because the social media world. I even hate saying that this is the world because it's not. It's only a very small microcosm of the world.
Right.
But to some OnlyFans and all this stuff makes it seem like that these bad bees are winning, right? It makes it seem like that. Now, I'm not saying that they are because it's not my preference, right? It's not my thing.
You hit it on the head.
But it does seem like these bad, baddies are winning, right? And it's man. Shan, in all seriousness, this is me speaking from a gentleman's perspective. I'm able to relate so much to the quote unquote wife type because I understand. Because when you think about what some men are going after, some men are this is what they're going after, right? And it's like, that's why I say when we talk about bad boy and gentleman, well, it's no different than some men wanting, the ratchet woman versus the ratchet woman versus the wife type, the one who is feminine, the one who is cooperative, submissive, and just really kind, nurturing, all of those things, right?
What? Yeah, I was gonna say, some of my friends and I, we used to talk about this years ago. We used to say it's like the strippers and the hoes is winning, right? It's like you see on even in entertainment, you got who was the girl that the Kardashian brother, he was dating the former stripper.
Oh, I don't
It's
know.
like there's probably tons of
Black
China.
Yeah,
Rob and Black
yeah, Rob, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's really like the strippers and the hoes is winning. They getting all the dudes that we think have something because they're successful, whether it's in the entertainment industry, they're for, just all of that stuff. And it's like, it kind of like, why are men always choosing, to your point, I don't want to just categorize them all as being ratchet, but why are you choosing these women who have chosen to do this rather than women who have gone out, maybe gotten an education, may have done something with their life, maybe businesswomen, maybe in the corporate world, may have their own businesses, things of that, things like that. So it goes, to me, it goes both ways.
I truly believe what and who you actually attract is who you are.
True. I believe that too.
Yep. And I also say too, it's perhaps $40 at a time. $40 baddies. That's all I'm just saying.
Mark, again, how do you know the cost? How do you know how much it is?
All I'm saying is that I think like where we meet people at says a lot as well too, right? So me personally, you won't find me in a club. You won't find me in a club, and I'm just being honest. Ratchet behavior is just not my thing. That's just not my thing. Where you will find me though is that a lot of you'll find me. Not saying you can't meet ratchet people there because you can, but just that energy is just for me. But for the most part, I go to a lot of steakhouses. I frequent a lot of steakhouses. I frequent a lot of cigar lounges. I frequent a lot of things that
They got holes in that too, Nick. Newsflash.
No, and that's why I say you'll find them there. But for
they just got high dollar holes in those.
I don't think wait a minute. I came across this one there. I think a few of them there. But I guess like what I'm saying
is what they're not asking for $40. I'll tell you that.
Now it's about 80, 100 at the moment.
But that might be the first drink.
Right. But I think there's nothing wrong with what people and their preferences and what they like. What I always just challenge the thought process on is that you don't have to put one against the other to make one feel superior and the other one feel inferior. Right. That's like I think that's when the lines kind of, because like I said, people can, if that's what floats your boat, go for it. But you don't have to make
right. Hey Stan, Mark wants you to read his comment.
I saw that.
Did you see it so you could answer it?
I did, yes. No, there's nothing for me to add to it, but I saw your comment. Thank you, sir.
Hey Mark, I'm gonna see if I can get her to answer that question, whatever it was, when we get back from the break. We'll definitely do that. We'll take a quick break, folks. We'll be right back.
Thanks for tuning into Conversations with Trent. We will be right back with more conversation after these commercial breaks.
Check out the creative work of the author Trent Williams of www.taylorkennedymedia.com. Chapter of the Delta gives us a peek at his life-changing events. And if that's not enough, Trent tells you more about his brothers and his life through memoirs in his book, The Four Horsemen. His blogs and daily stimulating quotes are published in his book, Life's Little Addiction. And when you have a need of some human coaching of life and relationships, take a look at Conversations with Trent, Volume 1 and 2, and Conversations with Trent, Limited Edition. You will find his works available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all online book retailers.
Welcome back to Conversations with Trent. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're online and want to be a part of tonight's topic, you can do that by dialing 347-324-5327. Press the number 1 to get into the queue so that your voice can be added to tonight's conversation. Now, let's get back to the show.
All right. Good stuff. So you're going to answer Mark's question or not?
There's no question to answer. He said, read my comment above for your answer, Charlie.
Gotcha. Okay.
Welcome, Alvin. He says, I could be a bad boy, but don't take my kindness for weakness. Okay. Okay.
Absolutely. I concur, Mr. Sir. I concur. Good stuff. Good stuff. Go ahead. You want to add to that, Nick?
Yeah, I always say that, or for me, I've always said that I don't know if I could, and I don't know if I could be a bad boy. I always say that I can only just be, and whatever my be looks like will be attractive for the be of someone else, right? So whether I'm being a gentleman or this or that, I just think that just being is more attractive than adding a label to it, because for me personally, because ultimately that's what we attract is our being, right? And but yeah, I just can't do ratchet behavior. I can't. That's not my thing.
Yeah,
and I say that because when I was younger and going to the club scene when I was like 18, and stuff like that, it's just an environment that just never really just. And then, like Brother Trent said, it's not so much of it's just the mindset. It's not where I'm at in my life.
Okay. Mark has a comment for you, Mr. Epic.
Let's see what he's saying.
In his special language. What is that? Can you please translate that for us, sir?
Mark. Was that a question or a statement?
I think that's a statement, but what does it mean?
He knows me very well, so he knows the answer to that already.
But what does it mean?
Everything that I do is in order.
What does that mean?
I'm not going to get into it here.
Help us. Help us.
Shan, there's a thing called MO, and it's called members only. And there's a certain thing that just was with members only. And
he called. There you go.
There it is.
There you go.
Members only.
You remember that, sir.
Is that for Mark or me? You telling Mark that?
No, both of you remember that.
Order. Yes,
sir. Co-signing on what Nick said. Both of you remember that.
It was just a statement, exactly like I said.
No, he doesn't have anybody in order, Mark. Thank you very much.
But no, see,
I don't know what he's talking about.
Oh, you know exactly. If I know what he's talking about, you know exactly.
But seriously,
I'm not gonna bust nobody out.
There is nothing wrong with, even for women who love bad boys. I want to be clear. There's nothing wrong with if that's your preference and that's what you are attracted to. There's nothing wrong with that. Just as there's nothing wrong with a woman loving, a gentleman, right? And same with men. It will just always just say that you don't have to put one.
Mark log off.
You don't have to make one feel superior and the other feel inferior just by certain things. You just really do have to open your heart and open your mind, because you never know if you're used to bad boys, you're used to a certain type of protection from them, and then when you meet a gentleman and the protection that he gives is everything that the bad boy is giving, but it's in a different package than what you're used to.
Mhm.
You have to be open to those possibilities of
Again, I do believe that that there is a thing of giving her the best of both worlds if she wants to feel safe, if she wants to feel protected. I think a man can give her the best of both worlds. You don't have to be a bad boy and be disrespectful.
right.
You could be a solid bad boy, a bona fide bad boy, and get your point across without even raising your voice over 5.
Yep.
So, me personally, I've experienced both sides of it. And I've been called a bad boy before, been called a gentleman before. I've been called an asshole before. But you just got to.
You have been called an asshole?
I've been called an asshole too. I've been called an asshole too. Yeah.
Mark wanted to know, from my perspective, do women prefer bad boys to gentlemen? Can you give us a percentage? No, I can't give you any numbers on that. I can only speak for myself. I don't think that I don't think that women just prefer the bad. When you talk about the bad boys, as far as what I said my definition was, nobody wants to be used and played and manipulated and lied to and be stressed out during their relationship.
Who says bad boys do that though? Who says bad boys?
I said based on my definition, if it's just straight bad boy. Now, for me, it's that edge. I look at it as having a certain edge, having a certain certain amount of I don't want to say street knowledge, but it is having some worldly knowledge and experience, not just having lived in that protective bubble, and not really understand what really goes on out in the real world, and not being able to maneuver between both, so to speak, right? Sad to say, we have to sometimes, as people that look like me, we have to. I'm just gonna say, hush up, bro. Nick has some numbers though. Whatever. But I don't think women, any of us, really sign up to say we want that necessarily. None less than, I don't know. Even though some men are attracted to ratchet women, do you really want the woman?
The reason why
everybody.
Yeah, the reason why I prefer not to go to the slums, and I'm saying it in a mental state, to go to the slums. I'm selfish. I don't share. I don't want my woman dealing with no one else going nowhere near the Twizzard, none of that. I don't want her name in the street like that. Anything. None of it. I don't deal with common shit. I just don't deal with it.
Really?
If we're gonna get common in the house behind these doors.
Right. And give it that
all in the street.
Shan, and give it that thug passion.
I just want to know, really? All of them have been like that, Brother Trent?
Say again?
All of them have been like that, Brother Trent?
Probably on one of my wild nights, I've picked me up a quick pick or two. Probably on one of my wild nights years ago, I done picked up a quick pick. Who hasn't? What man hasn't picked up a quick pick?
Interesting.
So how do you? Hold on. So okay, Miss Shan. So you bringing bad boys or gentlemen to those corporate events?
I've done both. Ooh. And I've also done a mixture, one that had a mixture of both. So I've done them all. And I've done them all but you know what I'm saying.
And Shan, I will just be honest. I will say that one of my exes, who I'm really good friends with today, when we were together, we would go to different functions, either at her job or when I was, at my job, we would go to different corporate functions and stuff like that, right? And as I was moving, I remember, long story short, I will say that there is something to be said about, can you bring this person to a corporate event? I will be honest and say that that is something that's in my mind as I'm thinking about potentially, with this person, and because I don't want to say that it does matter. Let's just call it let's cut to the shit chase. It does matter. Because it's just how we, and I'm not saying that ratchet or baddies or bad boys can't carry themselves in corporate function. I'm not saying that. But what I'm also saying that there's something about just either a gentleman or the wife type or whatever. It's something about it that's just a little bit different than the other side.
I'm gonna have to disagree with that. With that. Like I said, you have to have a balance, man. You have to have a balance. You have to have a balance. That woman has to feel safe and protected. In any event, I mean, they got mass murders at corporate events as well. So serial killers and everything. I mean,
but do we like here's where I go with the protection aspect of it, right? So it goes back to the fundamental question. A man doesn't need to have that balance in order to protect, because a man who is already in that energy, it's come second nature. Like, for a man to know how to lead and protect, for a man where that is routine.
Right, but that's what the way you're describing it, you're categorizing, you're placing them, you're categorizing everyone. So you have to have balance. You can't just be that one gentleman all the time. She's gonna leave you before she gets you. That's boring. That's real boring.
I will say that may work. I will say this, that may work for here's the accepting part. That may work for certain women, and it may not work for certain women. And just as that may fit for certain men, may not fit for certain men.
I got you. Mark says, just a thought. A woman in the workplace that has a gentleman, might they have a bad boy on standby as a side piece? Mark.
Y'all heard of these work husbands? Don't act like y'all don't act like y'all ain't never heard these work husbands before.
What a way to put it to this slash.
A work bay.
Oh, that's the question. Is that who's?
I can see that happening, Slash. I can see that happening. I've seen it happen.
I have seen it happen. Look, I have seen it happen. That's all I'm gonna say. And when I look, without trying to, I've seen it happen, and the shit show that it was.
I've seen that. I definitely have. So it's a great topic tonight, folks. Great topic tonight.
Yeah.
Great topic tonight. So let's talk about these cookies before we get out of here, man. About our tops and bottoms. Try to stick to business.
I had a question for the whole panel. Oh, he tried to say I ain't said nothing. I think he wanted me to answer something too. Yes, that's very true. God. Some things you ain't trying to be necessarily real transparent about, Mark, but I guess, yeah, that is, yes. That is, I would think that that's an accurate statement. It could very well happen.
Yeah.
Not saying that I've had it. Not me, but
I've been getting calls on this website. So when can these folks order from this website? I've been streaming for the past week and a half. So what's the hold up?
I'm not gonna laugh because I know it's all. Yes, they can expect to be able to order within the next 48 hours.
Okay.
On the website, which is tabsediblecreations.com. Yes.
Okay.
But in the meantime, you can go to either IG or Facebook under tab Tops and Bottoms Edible Creations to see all the wonderful delicacies and edible experiences that are on there. And edible meaning the legal edible stuff. I just want to make note of that.
Please.
We're not in Vegas.
Give me your email address just in case they want to.
Email address.
The strange happens overnight and the website don't go live if someone don't get content like it's supposed to get. Just give them the email address so they got your order.
Sure. It's Shannon.Hemming, HEMMING at tabsediblecreations.com.
Good stuff.
So,
Good
yeah,
stuff.
shoot me an email. Your orders are baked on demand, so it's not like I have a stash of cookies that are just sitting here and have been here for days that I'm sending you out. You're getting the
Super fresh.
freshest product available.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. In closing, you got something else, Nick?
No, just, hey, we have our preferences, and whatever people like, they like. It's none of my business. So, I have what I like.
What was that song? Wasn't it a song by Spinderella? A song about none of your business. It's like, if I want to take a shot.
I thought you were talking about the genuine. I thought you were talking about the genuine.
No, wait, there was a part that said if she want to be a freaking sell it on the weekend or something.
Yeah, none of your business.
No business. I'm just saying. That was the song. That was Salt and Pepper, not me.
Sally Hemings. I think he may be frozen because he's just looking like he's in a trance. But sorry, yeah, was it Salt and Pepper?
Yes, it was Salt and Pepper.
Yeah. But no, like, I say all that to say that I've grown to the point, Shan, of I used to really kind of, when people would have these discussions, now I'm more accepting of people and their types. What I would just say is, hey, if that works for you, that works for you.
Right.
But you don't have to make one feel superior or inferior or anything like that, or prejudge or anything like that. Just if that works for you, hey, I hope the best for it. It works, but
Yeah, I just apologize in advance. I don't normally prejudge. The height is the only prejudgment I have.
That's funny.
Duly noted.
Thank you.
Super superficial. Super superficial. So on that note, we're gonna say goodnight, and we'll see you guys on Wednesday for a recap and
Sunday. Oh yeah, Wednesday. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Dang it.
Now I'm on them edibles. Oh my God. Wednesday, that's right.
Go to Vegas. Do all you want.
We'll see you guys on the recap. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Have a good weekend. Good night, everyone. Thanks.
Conversations with Trent in conjunction with Taylor Kennedy Media and your radio network would like to thank you for calling in and listening to tonight's episode. We hope that tonight's conversation offended you just enough to turn your mirror inward, to come back for more. So until next week's conversation, be epic.